and then he had to do it again from scratch because he was using the wrong microphone.
I mean, it's just a drop-down menu. I don't know how.
I mean, people don't realise how hard it is to fake laugh twice in a row.
I don't know. I mean, I do it more than that for certain people.
You were just like, oh yeah,
yes.
please go away now. Well, that's all right. That's all right, Matt. From next week, you only have to have up to 6 people in one space with you at a time. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Fucking don't. All I'm saying is that when I was driving home from work yesterday, Breaking the Law came on my Spotify mix, and I had a little internal chuckle while singing along. It should really be Breaking the Law in a specific and narrow way. But yeah, there we go. Hello, everyone.
This is the world we're living in, folks.
How are you all doing? World we live in. Oh!
I wonder if that harmonised at the right time, considering the slight delay in
It definitely didn't.
Good luck in the edit.
I'm not fixing it. You can fuck right off.
I wonder if we harmonised as well.
No, we didn't harmonise. Because I didn't really sing. I just went, ah!
Oh.
Which is what I do internally most of the time, to be fair.
It's what we do, folks, here on The Big Damn Cast.
That's
Nerdy
us.
news, geeky gossip, stuff to occupy your time, considering you're all going to be indoors again soon. My name is Chris. Just furlough everybody, please, for the love of Christ, Johnson.
And now, my name is Matt. Walk without rhythm and you won't attract the worm, Watson.
Oh, right. Well,
oh.
I think that's a little teaser. Have we got some emails this week? We've
got a couple of emails. Nothing tectonic.
Meaty. Nothing meaty. Well, we'll get to the meat-free or light, as it were, emails later on. We're also going to talk a little bit about something that completely ruined my weekend. But first, you teased it now, sir.
I've teased it.
You've teased it with your mind holes.
I've teased it.
Tell me, Don Miguel,
Tell
me of the Frank Herbert book Dune.
Well, I think
and it's many roads to
more
cinema.
You know more about the Frank Herbert book Dune, because I've never read the Frank Herbert book Dune by Frank Herbert. Only you have read Frank Herbert's The Book Dune by Frank Herbert. A Frank Herbert
misheard
novel.
You then as Frank Pervert's Frank Herbert.
Well, I don't know how pervert it is. I've never read it. I've only seen the bizarre 80s David Lynch version. Is it 81, the David Lynch version? With Kyle MacLachlan and Sting.
I own it and I've not watched it. Where is it?
You've never seen it?
Oh,
I'm surprised that you've never seen it. 1984.
Where the fuck is Oh, there it is. I've got a David Lynch box set, which I bought because I wanted Firewalk with me, and it was the cheapest way to get it at that time. The cheapest way to get it at that time was to buy a David Lynch DVD box set that was 15 quid. It contains a multitude of treats, including Dune.
Yes.
I read Dune at the age of 13. I was perusing the library in my high school, and I was like, that looks interesting. There's a giant fucking worm with loads of teeth on the front. I'm sold. Is it Beetlejuice? Is this a Beetlejuice book? It's not stripy. It isn't a stripy worm, but I'll read it. And I had to take it out. I think there was like a 3-week limit in our high school library for taking stuff out, and I think I had to take it out 3 times.
That doesn't surprise
it's beefy.
me.
It's a beefy book.
It's a big beefy boy.
But also, I was 13, so I really was not prepared for Dune.
No.
It's it was challenging to the point where my main retention of it, here we are 16 years later, is that was big, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a big book. I can't recall too much about the contents. I can't recall certain things until the thing we're talking about now, where some stuff made me go, oh shit, yeah. Oh, I remember him. Oh, I know what that is. But yeah, so it is many a staple of a sci-fi library.
Well, I can tell you,
and has its fans. I mean, Christ, X, but sometimes still Comic Book Girl 19. Danica has done like a massive series on it after wrapping up her Dark Phoenix ongoing X-Men documentaries. She's moved on to Dune. and it's many sequels. It's had a shitload.
Many sequels, including...
It's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like, oh, this one author writes this book, and then it's just going to continue whether the author's around or gives a shit about it or not. There's going to be more.
Yeah. The Herbert estate has continued to pump out Dune novels at a rate of roughly 70 million words a minute. You should watch the 84 David Lynch film. I'm not going to say it's good, because I don't know if it is. All I know is that I liked it, and you should watch it because it's got Kyle MacLachlan, it's got Virginia Madsen, it's got Brad Dourif, it's got Linda Hunt, it's got Everett McGill, it's got Jack Nance, it's got Sean Phillips, it's got Jürgen Prochnow, it's got
You had my curiosity at Kyle MacLachlan. You had my attention at Brad Dourif. You're about to grab my attention by the testes.
It's got Patrick Stewart.
There we go.
It's got The Sting. It's got Dean Stockwell.
Yeah, Sting's in it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's got the late Max von Sydow.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. It's a hell of a... Well, it's David Lynch film,
and then reprises the exact same role in Star Wars Episode 7. No.
What? No, definitely not. Definitely not. There was also a 2000s TV miniseries version of Dune with William Hurt, and then a sequel to that, a sequel miniseries, Children of Dune, which is currently on Amazon Prime UK, with which also features Ian McNeice, Stephen Burkoff, and James McAvoy. And Susan Sarandon. What? What?
Susan Sarandon.
I'm so confused by all of this.
Don't be confused.
But yeah, don't ask me to tell you anything about Dune other than that David Lynch movie sure is a movie, because that's pretty much all I know.
And Fear is the mind killer.
Fear is the mind killer.
Remember that.
Iron Maiden wrote a song about Dune, and they called up Frank Herbert to ask if they could call the song Dune. And Frank Herbert was like, nah, fuck off. So they called it To Tame a Land instead.
Oh, fair enough.
And it closes their 1983 album Peace of Mind, which is a classic, and it's a great track.
What they should have done is bought shares in Spice. For he who controls the spice
controls the universe.
Controls the universe.
The spice must flow.
Must flow.
Yeah.
This version is by whom? Who's directed this bad boy?
This is directed by visionary director Denis Villeneuve, who most recently wowed us all with Blade Runner 2049, which I thought was fucking
That explains
excellent.
it. Yeah, I was just saying to Matt before we recorded, dear listeners,
and of course, Arrival.
I'll be honest, it looks... Oh, of course, yeah. I was saying to Matt, it looks like... It doesn't look as weird as I'd imagine it to. It looks a little more glossy, but it sort of looks glossy with that eye of, no, but we are still going to tell the story. Kind of like Blade Runner 2049. Well, you've just confirmed exactly why it felt like that. It's the same dude.
It looks...
It's Blade Runner.
It looks incredible. It looks incredible. And it's like, just in that trailer, you've got some amazing vistas and establishing shots.
So many vistas!
The planet, the titular planet of Dune, or Arrakis as it's actually called, but everyone calls it Dune, is just breathtaking, like, expanse of sand. Another incredible fucking cast. Like, it's just
strong ass beards.
Yeah, headed up by Timothée Chalamet as the young Leto Atreides, not Leto, Paul Atreides.
He doesn't have a beard though. He's just bare chinned.
Leto Atreides does have a beard though, because that's whatchamacallit, Oscar Isaac, the wonderful. Yeah, here we got Rebecca Ferguson playing Lady Jessica. We got Zendaya. She's not Michi. She's Chani.
Damn.
Jason Momoa being all Duncan, Idaho, up in that shit.
With two different facial hairstyles over the course of the movie.
Yes. Well, it takes place over a long time. Apparently, this is also only half of the adaptation of the first book. It's planned as 2 films.
Oh shit! They're doing it.
Yes.
Shit it to the bed.
What else? Timothée Chalamet is Paul Atreides. Josh Brolin's Gurney Halleck. Dave Bautista's in this. Oscar Isaac's in this. Stellan Skarsgård's Baron Harkonnen. Fucking, we got Javier Bardem all up in that shit. We got a hell of a cast, man. It's
basically it's a hey, people who may never have read Dune. You like these guys, right?
Yeah, you like these
Come
guys.
and watch Dune.
Yeah.
You like these motherfuckers? Come and watch Dune, motherfucker. Come and see where effectively like elements of the sci-fi you know today were born.
Yes, like Dune has a huge influence on 40K. Right, things
I can
like,
see that, yeah.
Like the sort of galaxy universe spanning imperium that only a certain class of people can navigate faster than light, and so they have a lot of like power. The concept of a god emperor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That all comes from that. Not being able to use computers because of an AI uprising in the past, so like a simultaneously advanced and backwards level of technology.
Yeah.
Things like that. And it's just I've always fancied the Dune universe as intriguing, but just never taken the plunge on that, quite frankly, brick of a book.
Maybe now's the time.
Well, listen, I'm a man.
Coming out.
I'm a man who's read some bricks in his time.
I'm a man.
I've read some.
Listen. I'm a man. I thought that was the end of the statement. I was I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm a man who's read some bricks in his time. Some good bricks, some bad bricks, some mediocre bricks. 5 out of 10, probably wouldn't brick again. But whether I've read the brick that is Frank Herbert's Dune by Frank Herbert, I am in for this film. It just looks breathtaking, and if it's anywhere near as good as Blade Runner 2049, we're in for a treat.
That's the kicker. Like, if it even touches the coattails of that movie and has some of that lovely goosebumps across your skin kind of ominousness that Arrival did so very well.
Yeah. Which the trailer's got shades of, to be fair. Like, there's just a...
Yeah.
There's a mysticism to the trailer. Like, there's a sense of lore to it. There's a sense of...
air.
Yeah. There's a sense of, look at this world. You're getting the barest taste of it. The teensiest little taste of the rich sort of texture of this world. So come and see it. Come and see it. Come and see it.
Come and join us. Come and join us when it's safe to go to the cinema.
Yeah, don't forget your still suit. Me and Keeks are contemplating venturing to the view at the Lowry because it has single seats, single recliners.
Picture house.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done all the screens there now, haven't they? Because it used to be there. It used to be there when we were local to there. That was our go-to.
Yeah.
And we would, because it wasn't busy during the week, we would treat ourselves to the gold screen because that was when they had like the one gold screen, and it was like sort of like £9 each on a quiet weeknight for the special recliner refillable popcorn seat.
Yeah.
We're like, that's pretty cheap now. Never mind, like 5-6 years ago. So we tend to watch movies in those. And I heard recently, they closed a boatload of the screens, sold some of the space, and converted the rest to all recliners spread out.
They're all that. I saw Toy Story 4 in one of those screens. Ooh. Way back when that came out. So it's been like that for a while now, and so we might. We're still sort of unsure of how comfortable we feel, but we're contemplating maybe going back to that one for Bill and Ted when that comes out.
Give us a nudge, because if we can conveniently appear at the same building at the same time,
rather than actually
we can't travel together. We can't travel together.
We can't socialize with other households, but we might be in the same building at the same time. Be okay,
which is weird.
Because we're spending money to save the economy before it gets tanked by Brexit. But anyway,
God damn it. No, but do keep us posted on that, because if we can coordinate, we can all take the risk together, and all then complain about it inevitably together when we all get home and go, it was fucking ridiculous how they didn't do this and they didn't do that, and people took their masks off and someone came over and pooed on my shoes.
But, well, you'll be glad to know my new workplace is very COVID safe, so that's good.
That's good. That's
very,
good.
very
My
COVID
house apparently
is also very COVID safe. My car is COVID safe. So, speaking of economic...
What, sorry?
Speaking of economic downturns, how do you feel the presence of a free-to-play-like economy sits with the full-priced single-player campaign-led nature of Marvel's Avengers for consoles everywhere, as long as you've got a PS4 or an Xbox One?
We are getting into this bitch.
All right.
Oh my god.
Oh god, we've only been going for 16 minutes.
I know.
That leaves us plenty of time to get into what's wrong with the Avengers. Sorry, Marvel's The Avengers.
No, I'm sorry. We need to retitle this to Square Enix's The Avengers. Because
surely Square Enix is Marvel's The Avengers.
No. See, the Marvel here on this case, you see that there on the cover?
It's not Marvel. Yeah,
Marvel
okay.
On the case. And the Marvel there on the spine, yeah?
Yeah.
That is there because they want you to look at that and go, a seal of quality.
What?
I like those movies. I enjoy those movie films. Hey?
Marvel is not necessarily a seal of quality. I'm putting that out there.
How dare you? I've heard that they've cracked Ruby Tuesday and they're going to work a film out for her and everything. And it's,
listen,
it's just...
I've read early X-Men. Like, Marvel is not a seal of quality.
Yeah, early X-Men, i.e. read the first 5, get the gist, enjoy it, and then skip to...
X-Men didn't get good until 1974, 11 years after it was started. Anyway, that's...
I mean, to be fair, for about 7 years of the period between the start and the second start, it was just repeats.
Yeah. It was so...
when they renumbered the issues, do they count the ones that were just repeats?
Yes.
Like, that's...
Because they count as part of the original run. But when they do collections that collect those issues, they don't reprint those issues. So the Masterworks don't reprint those issues. They reprint all the new material. Then when it goes to reprints, they just have a compilation of the covers, and then they ghost. Right. Which is why the Marvel Masterworks X-Men line is so much fucking shorter than all the other ones.
And also why a lot of people will go, I don't get it. Book 2 or 3 ends with like issue 100 and whatever, and then book 3 starts with issue 300 and something. What am I missing? Where are they? Where are they? Marvel released the original run. And they all went with Troughton's Who and Shergar. They all went missing. That's a joke that like 5% of the people listening to this will vaguely get, and I'm proud.
Well, Troughton's Who at least will pop up on BritBox eventually.
That's true. So you see this Marvel label here on the case. It's clear there to make you go, like the films, like the movie films.
Well, like Avengers isn't enough of a thing to make you go, oh, like the movie films.
Well, yes, but no, because the thing is, when Insomniac and Sony released Spider-Man to the PS4 in 2018...
Yeah, sorry, Marvel Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing. It was called Spider-Man, but when you search for it to stream on, when you search for it to watch streams of, when you search for Let's Plays, it's all under Marvel's Spider-Man. Yet the title is just Marvel. Spider-Man. Marvel logo. Spider-Man. But that worked. That game was a critical success.
The apostrophe S is implied by the red box. It's a new textual format.
I don't accept it. That as a man who's as a man whose name is Chris, and people tell me constantly where I should put my apostrophe. I do not accept invisible apostrophes and S's. I know. Matt just raised his eyebrows and gave a surprised face. I knew he fucking would. You dirty boy.
You never showed me where you put your apostrophe.
Where? But that Marvel Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, had a single-player campaign. That's all it was. It was a third-person action oriented with occasional stealth mechanics and role play elements. It was a big sprawling open world. It was a story campaign told over an 18-hour span, complete with more side quests to expand it to a near 40-hour experience if you do absolutely everything. And that's not counting just farting around in it and playing around with the different costumes.
Which you do often, because it's fun to play.
Yeah, I've finished it 3 times over. And yet, here I am, occasionally just dropping into New York to swing around and fight crime, because it's just a fun control scheme.
They made Spider-Man fun. That's an impossible thing that people seem to struggle with.
Yeah.
But they did it.
They did it. And it worked really well. And it's one thing. You buy it, you've got it. If you want some more, there's a DLC 3-episode expansion that gives you another. Again, if you play everything in it, another 15 plus hours of gameplay.
Which I still haven't touched, actually.
And based on if you get it in sale or normal price, it's anywhere between like $8.99 and
you can't get it in sale. There's no game shops in sale. There was only a Granger's and they're shut now.
Maybe a Green Alsh's? Did they not have a Green Alsh's?
They have a Green Alsh's, but Green Alsh's isn't a game store, is it?
Everyone's third favourite type of sausage roll.
You don't remember Granger Games?
Barely. I barely remember what the Central Manchester looked like at this point. I don't understand what's happening. But they made it, and it's like, here's a complete thing, and if you really love it, here's a mini sequel that you can download and play a bit more of. And it'll get you a couple more suits in that sequel, but you still have to unlock them. The DLC, each DLC chapter comes with 3 suits, and to unlock all 3, you have to complete the DLC. Like, they're just unlocked as you play. Like, I think one unlocks at like the halfway point of each chapter, one unlocks at the end, and one unlocks if you do all the side missions. So it's it's a hey, superhero story. Spider-Man's got a large history. He's got loads of costumes. You can unlock all of them just by playing the game. And not only that, we're going to chuck a few free ones out every now and again. Far From Home just came out. Here's 2 costumes from that movie. It's Christmas 2018. The game sold really well. Here's the Sam Raimi movie costume. Like, they just dished out goodies continuously.
Far From Home, close to my heart.
I love it. I love it. And if you're in the nighttime setting and you're just going for a swing shift beating up bad guys, I just stick on the Night Monkey costume. They call it the stealth suit, but come on, it's Night Monkey. And it immediately improves the experience tenfold. So great game, fantastic game. Marvel's Avengers, or Square Enix's Avengers, because Crystal Dynamics made it, but Square Enix published it. They set a release date, they moved the release date slightly, and they made all the decisions that led to Crystal Dynamics doing what they have done to the game. Advertises itself, as you can see here on the back of the box, advertises itself as a 2-part experience. It's an original story mode, and an ever-changing series of online multiplayer missions.
So like Coke and New Coke.
Yeah. Play an original Avengers story and assemble online in teams of up to 4 players. That's what it says on the back. So that to me says, alright, online multiplayer stuff, sure. Campaign, sure. These are characters from a comic book. These are characters that are now known massively throughout the world, even more so than they ever had been before because of big blockbuster motion pictures. They get continuous cartoon series. People walk around wearing t-shirts with frickin' Thor on now, and I still get a kick whenever I see like a kid walking around in a Thor t-shirt, because I'm like, this is mad. This is absolutely nuts. I remember me being a kid and having vague knowledge of this character. Me being in my teens and liking him but not really into it yet, and me being in my late teens and a certain person saying, hey, have you read the JMS run yet? And then that was it. And thanks to you I became a Thor fan. That got me into Thor. So to see young kids with Thor on a t-shirt nowadays, I'm like, this is amazing. This is nuts to see.
I was stowing today, and in one of the bins that went past, there was just a little Mjolnir, little plastic Mjolnir there.
Little Mjolnir.
Sticking out.
There are kids who play with Mjolnirs now. This is where we're at.
Kids play with Mjolnirs. It's normalized. You don't get hairy palms.
And the Lord won't judge.
No.
Odin will, but the Lord won't.
That's because Odin's a cunt.
Imagine if they got it for Christmas, they opened up the wrapping paper, and then they grabbed it to pull out the box and they couldn't lift it. Double heartbroken. So
it's a trick.
The parents we need to put them up for adoption, right now. So, but we're in a world where people know Hawkeye and they love Hawkeye. We're in a world where, in the cinema last year, Scarlet Witch rocked up in a scene to fight the bad guy, and people audibly in the screening I was in went, "Woo! Scarlet Witch!" And some of our younger listeners might be like, yeah, obviously. And we're like, no, you don't get it. We come from a time where, basically, if you weren't 4 of the X-Men, Spider-Man, and maybe for just the sake of recognition, Captain America, Hulk at a push. People didn't recognize these characters or talk about them, didn't know who they were, didn't wear them on clothing. Like, it was a very small handful of characters from this company that were being like celebrated by the mainstream. So the fact that this is the first mainstream release of a triple A video game starring these characters since the MCU has become a pop culture phenomenon. Because again, there's only been a couple games with Avengers in the title.
Yeah.
There's been a fair few Marvel games with the Avengers in it, but they're not the selling point of the game. They're just one of the things in it. This is the first time where they've just gone, hey, this video game, motherfuckers, is called Avengers. Buy it now.
Well, the first one that made it to release.
Yeah, well, yes, because back in 2012, footage leaked of a first-person co-op game.
Yes.
Where you played as Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, or Hulk. And some of the footage came out, I believe, of Thor and Hulk. Because I remember big green fists. Just as first person doesn't work, but if it had been like a Jumanji, like a Sony tie-in game where they just put it on the store and it's 20 quid and it's a fun co-op to play local, I'd be like, yeah, sure, fair enough, whatever. But this is the biggie. This is the biggie. This is, Square Enix releasing a new Crystal Dynamics game. The teams who brought you the Tomb Raider reboot. Like the previous 3 games that this company and this combo have put out are the Tomb Raider games.
The well-loved Tomb Raider reboot.
But that's the thing.
Not controversial at all.
Well, that's the thing. As far as like the blanket reception to the Tomb Raider reboot has been, overall, it's been received positively. Like, people have gone, yeah, these are great action games. Like, it's great to have Lara back. It's like, it's not the same Lara, is it? She's boring in comparison, but whatever. My wife, who loves the Tomb Raider series, doesn't like this Lara, but has still played all 3 of these games because she's like, I want to give it a try. It's satisfying. I'm a big fan of Uncharted, and this kind of feels like that again. I've always described the new Tomb Raiders as they're sort of like if Uncharted and Far Cry had a baby. That's kind of what they are. And whenever I've watched Lucy play, like, say, recently she was playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I look at it and I go, yeah, the gameplay looks fun, but the performances are shit. And the script's a bit shit. Okay. All right. So when I found out that this team were working on Avengers, I was a little skeptical.
Yeah.
And then we saw the first trailers last year when they started putting trailers out. Trailers which, if you watch that launch trailer now and then watch a more recent trailer...
I don't think I've got the strength, mate.
It's terrifying because Hulk looks different. Cap looks different. Widow looks very different. Thor looks super fucking different. Helmetless Tony, incredibly different. It's really, really weird. And you could postulate that what happened is the trailer came out and the main reaction to it was, this looks a bit uncanny valley. Like, there are these people who keep getting it confused and saying, I guess they can get the actors' likeness rights. They're not making a tie-in to the films.
Yeah, I think that's what... I think
they never were.
Disappointed by that as well. Like, for right or wrong, I think it's what a lot of people wanted.
Yeah, I mean, they could have avoided that a little on the surface just by maybe casting a couple of Avengers differently.
Yeah,
because the only difference from the starting lineup of the Avengers in this and the MCU is Hawkeye's not in it. Although when you're in the Chimera, the helicarrier that features in the game, there are 7 quarters for the onboard Avengers team to use and sleep in and everything. And the one that's locked that you can't get into has like the feathered end of an arrow symbol on the door. So it's
okay.
So Clint was a core member of this team, and I guess later we'll find out whatever that's about. But it's like, okay, sure. But so they were never meant to look like the actors because they're not meant to be those versions of the characters. Fine, sure. But the backlash was also like, this is odd. Like, Nat and Steve's facial proportions look weird. Thor's hair looks shit. Like, it looks like an early PS3 render of wavy hair. Like, what is going on? Apart from that, it looks kind of fun, we guess, but Then more trailers came out, and the story started to be illuminated. An event goes horribly wrong. 5 years later, the Avengers were blamed for the event. They've all disbanded. That's the plot. Later on, we got some good news. And I remember us covering this on the show. The person who's going to try and get them back together is Kamala Khan.
Yay!
Ms. Marvel, like, massively popular hero, debuted in 2013, I think?
Yeah.
2013, 2014, like, it was part of the second Marvel Now stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she might have been all new, all different. But around about that era.
Yeah, possibly. Whenever Inhumanity was, because that's what she came out of.
She's that rare... she's that rare thing in a video game protagonist in that she's not white.
Yes.
Fucking finally. And is played by Sandra Saad, who does an amazing job. And I'm just going to say this from the very top before I even get into the game. Kamala's the best thing about the game in terms of the story mode.
Generally what I've heard, yeah.
She has one of the best control schemes. She's the most endearing. Her interactions with her father in the story mode and the actual sort of scripted scenes are wonderful. The gentleman who plays her father is wonderful. Like, they play off each other incredibly well through these effectively CGI costumes.
Good.
She's great. Her control scheme is fun. Her enthusiasm and fangirlish like reactions to the world of the Avengers is great, because we are in a culture now where kids are walking around with Thor t-shirts and Mjolnirs are being delivered, and
yeah.
So Kamala is every youngster or every sort of fan like us who's grown up with this stuff who is now reveling in, oh my god, other people are learning about these things. Other people are seeing these things we've always loved and they like them too. This is really cool. That nice little feeling of validation and shared joy over a fictional silly thing. Kamala is great. But we still kind of felt a bit iffy on the story. As recently as the beta a few weeks back, which we talked about on the podcast, I noted that the story kind of feels like they've taken elements of the Marvel comic book Civil War.
Yeah.
They've taken huge inspiration from the events of Watchmen, and as some of my Twitch chat pointed out, The Incredibles, which in itself is kind of taking a
it takes a surprising amount of elements from Watchmen, actually.
Yeah. And also, I'm just going to start. It's dog shit. It's really, really bad. Let's start with the first of the two options. Let's start with the first of the two options on offer, shall we? So, story mode. A-Day, it's a big convention. The Avengers are getting their own helicarrier. It's called the Chimera.
Well, I mean, we knew all
San
this,
Francisco.
didn't we?
Oh, yeah. But they're in San Francisco to present. There's also a new energy source that Stark Industries is going to unleash. They've got hold of... just so you know, they never explain any of these things. They talk about them as though the viewer definitely knows what they are.
Yeah.
Like, Stark Industries have got hold of a Terrigen crystal, and they're going to use it as an energy source that'll be unlimited energy for everybody.
I'm squinting, by the way. I know this is an audio podcast, but I think that's important to know.
They could hear it. A terrorist cell led by Taskmaster shows up and uses a bunch of new Stark tech weaponry that Stark was making for the military, because I guess in this universe he still does that, to take everything down, destroy the Golden Gate Bridge, and then on board the Chimera after they get everybody at this convention, including Kamala and her father, who are there because she won a fanfiction competition to meet the Avengers. She's like 12 in this cutscene. As soon as everyone's off, Cap seemingly goes down with the helicarrier. Spoilers, by the way. There will be spoilers for the story because I need to rip into this bitch.
Okay.
So, Cap goes down with the helicarrier crashes. An explosion is set off by the Terrigen crystal within the helicarrier, and thousands of people are wiped out in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Thousands die. So, Civil War event.
Yeah.
We cut to 5 years ahead of time, and George Tarleton, the scientist who was in charge of the project with Stark...
I know that name.
He has now founded his own company that has absorbed Stark Industries, called Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Yeah.
Although at no point, to my recollection, does anyone say that. They're just called AIM. But, you know, AIM are there, and they've taken over, and the Avengers disbanded. But Kamala Khan is now older. She's secretly harboring superpowers because thousands of people on the West Coast of America were imbued with superpowers. The Terrigen crystals shattered, the Terrigen mist filled the streets, they all cocooned like bloody Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then they emerged with powers. And the game very quickly, in a lazily animated news report cutscene, shows that some people have either got powers that are out of control and they don't know what to do, and some people have already got a handle on them and are just looting and rioting and causing havoc.
Is this something that comes to play later in the game?
Well, the Terrigen Mists?
The idea that some people have powers that they can't control?
No. Oh. Because we don't see any of this. We just see flashes of it in this news report, and then we learn that AIM have been taking in people with powers to help them control it.
Do you fight any of those people with powers?
Nope. So
cool.
we also at no point are explicitly told that Taskmaster was hired to kickstart this chain of events, because here's the thing. George Charlton manages to get hold of Kamala Khan to try and convince her, to come with us. We're going to try and cure you. We're going to try and make you better. Meanwhile, not only is he alive, he doesn't look like his holograms or billboards. His head is starting to swell. He's got a little kind of metallic crown around his scalp that's glowing, and he's moving little robotic things around with his mind for a laugh, on the car seat while he's talking to her. He's accompanied by a scientist called Monica. I can't remember her surname now. It might be Rambici. I'm not sure. But she's not important. She's not an original character from the comics. She's here because eventually she becomes the Scientist Supreme. Anyway, they're like, we're gonna help cure you, Kamala. And Kamala's like, I don't want to be cured, because secretly she and a few others over the last few years have been looking for evidence that the explosion on A-Day was some form of cover-up. There are a bunch of kids who believe that there's something more.
Oh my god, is it the
here.
Teen Brigade?
No, I wish.
Oh.
We don't meet any of these other kids. Kamala's being talked to by a hacker when she gets hold of some AIM stuff, including CCTV footage from the Chimera of Tarleton apparently locking Cap in the Crystal's control room as the Chimera is going down, because Captain America's dead.
Monica Rappaccini. She is from the comics.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is she an AIM character, or is she someone else?
Yes, she is the Scientist Supreme.
Oh, there we go. So Kamala is approached by Tarleton, having discovered this stuff. There's an online user called Tiny Dancer who keeps trying to send her information and this, that, and the other. She gets away from Tarleton and eventually manages to find her way into the company of Bruce Banner, and is she finds herself to the Chimera and then gets chased by the Hulk in one of the few kind of interesting set pieces in the game. There's a few little set pieces where motion happens, and it's this is exciting. Kamala being chased through the helicarrier that's crashed in the middle of the desert by the Hulk is oh god, this is tense. This is interesting. She gets chased by the Hulk, she finds out, after he turns back to Banner, because she found Cap's shield in the middle of the wreckage, and she picked it up, and the Hulk doesn't like her moving anything, doesn't like her playing with stuff that is sentimental. Banner's been living in the Chimera for a few years. He's only turned back to Banner a couple of times in that time. And the only reason he can figure is because even though he's upset by what happened, especially because Bruce essentially condemned all superheroes by saying, yes, we could have prevented this, we should have prevented this, we were in the wrong at the public hearings, the Hulk is actually even more upset about the death of Cap. That's an interesting idea. They never explore it. So they set it up, and then they never go anywhere with it.
I'm seeing a pattern developing.
They go and find Tony, who's living in essentially the Stark ancestors' estate in the middle of arse end of nowhere in the desert.
Do we have to do this beat by beat? Because it's going to take forever.
No, I'll fly through. They get Tony. Okay. We learn that Nat has been working undercover at AIM for the last 3 years-ish, feeding information back and getting it to the hackers under the codename Tiny Dancer, which you kind of piece together is named. Everyone keeps making Elton John jokes, but it seems like it's named after a little ballet dancer in her music box that's in her quarters. So it's okay. She's also been on their payroll, and she brags about the fact that AIM have been paying her for years to essentially leak secrets to destroy them. So it's that's quite fun. So Tony and Banner have tensions because Tony's pissed off that Banner essentially condemned them all. They're getting together. They're slowly gathering more ex-SHIELD agents together. Fury has apparently died or gone missing, and Maria Hill is secretly trying to keep SHIELD together. And more people arrive at the Chimera. And over the course of the campaign, it goes from being stuck in the desert to being cleaned up slowly but surely and eventually in flight again. Because AIM are going to present to the world this brand new energy source that they're coming up with. 5 years on, you should all come to fucking San Francisco or New York or wherever the finale is. I can't bleeding remember to come and see it. And
one of these fucking places.
In this time, you fight a shitload of robots, and they're all boring as fuck. You also briefly fight Abomination. You fight Taskmaster and Abomination in the first hour and a half of gameplay. They are 2 of only 3 supervillains in the whole game, and that's the only time you fight them in the campaign. There are 3 more bosses after them before you get to another supervillain, and those bosses are all variations of mech. So, fun, exciting. Game featuring multiple superheroes. We don't need a lot of supervillains, apparently. That shit starts to go down on the Chimera. Robots attack the Chimera, and Thor shows up for the first time in forever because his place of work, which is implied to be a coffee shop, is nearly destroyed. He rocks up in a t-shirt with logo on the back and a little name tag that says, "Hello, my name is Donald." And he fights the robots, and he's kind of inconsequential. The other 3 previous Avengers, it feels, earned meeting them. Thor, it doesn't fucking matter. He just shows up and joins the fight. And then we learn... They interrogate Monica in a scene where she's interrogated in the Hulk's cell in the helicarrier and then is rescued by an assault from a bunch of fighter jets containing AIM robots. So basically the second act of the Avengers movie from 2012, but with Monica instead of Loki. She's been slowly feeding Tarleton a cure to try and stave off his infection. But it's been mutating him further, and now he's on a floating metal mechanical chair, and his head's getting larger and larger, and it's fucking M.O.D.O.K. It's M.O.D.O.K. It's M.O.D.O.K. It's original M.O.D.O.K. It's George Tarleton. It's original M.O.D.O.K. Sure. And he's pissed off at her, and he injects her with chemicals to kill her, because he's like, I hate you. So we go and find out where this cure is that's been given to him for reasons. And it's in a satellite above the Earth. And Tony goes there and finds, on stasis, hooked up to a shitload of tubes, Captain America, who's been here for 5 years, and his blood's been creating a supposed cure for Tarleton. Why? We don't know. Why does Tarleton want to get rid of the Inhumans, but Monica wants to keep them? We don't really know. They feed us all these fucking files to read and listen to, and it still doesn't really give us much other than Monica and Bruce were dating very briefly, so he feels betrayed. For that, So Cap joins the fight, and then we come back down, and Cap's like, the only reason I destroyed the crystal was because it was pulling something up from underneath the Earth that could have destroyed all of San Francisco. I couldn't take the chance. And they're like, yeah, but you still killed thousands of people. And in like one line of dialogue, he's like, I'll have to live with what I did. And then they move on. And you're like, okay, cool.
Cool.
We get to the finale, big fight on an AIM base. The only really fun piece of gameplay where you actually feel like you're fighting is the Avengers, because guess what? You are fighting as the Avengers. You are now 6 superheroes all working together in towards a common goal over a mission, including the final boss fight, which has a section for each and every one of them that feels satisfying and like you're getting to use their unique skill sets whilst fighting alongside your teammates. You fight M.O.D.O.K. Tough boss fight, interesting, genuinely quite fun, very creative, requires you to use everybody's unique power sets and control schemes. M.O.D.O.K. Uses whatever he's got in his machines to summon whatever it was that was under the ground, and what arises, with no prior mention, no prior warning, and no explanation, a Kree sentry. It's kaiju sized.
Okay.
It looks more like a sentinel than a sentry. Like it's got the face with the lines on it, and it's a deep purple and grey and black, and it's not really the squat, like, you know, light up chest, robotic face that the sentries are. It looks more like a sentinel flat out. It's really weird.
I mean, the sentry design has been a bit more fluid than sentinels have over the years in the comics, so
why not design it from scratch? They've designed all the costumes from scratch to middling effect, but M.O.D.O.K. climbs into its head and pilots it, and this and the other, and then you get a really satisfying ending where Kamala sees everyone's going to die, and she's like, fuck this noise. She grows to the size of a skyscraper, and through one of those, you know, interesting, I don't mind it being a QTE because it's sort of an emotional action beat, climax to the story moment, you beat the shit out of a Kree sentry whilst you're the size of a skyscraper as Kamala Khan, which is very cool. She faints, the day's saved, M.O.D.O.K. falls into the ocean, and the Avengers like, we're back, we're going to have to win the public trust over piece by piece, and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s going to help us. And then they drop Kamala off home, and her dad gives her a hug and clearly knows what's been going on and tells her she's grounded till she's like 38, but she's allowed to go on her secret field trips. And it's like, oh, he knows! And then it ends. And then we get 2 post-credit scenes where Monica's alive, and it's suggested very lazily, and to the point where I had to Wikipedia what the fuck it meant. that she used an Inhuman who could clone themselves to maybe clone herself at some point.
Sure.
So the one that was killed by M.O.D.O.K was a clone, and now she's
Sure.
the scientist supreme, and they're going to keep studying. And there's another post-credit scene where the Kree sentry lying in the bay of San Francisco cracks open, and a pod shoots up into space. Good luck getting that sequel, you shits. Please ask me individual questions so I can spell out my rage on what does not work throughout this. Just hit me. Come on, because I'm just gonna rant.
I think you've made it fairly succinct. It seems like the lack of supervillains is a big bugbear, and I can understand that.
Weird.
I can
It's
understand
so
that.
weird. I've seen apologists online go, well, they're going to come out in the online campaigns. And I'm like, not good enough. Ultimate Alliance adds like 2 supervillains in minimum per mission.
In the first mission, you get of Ultimate Alliance, you get Winter Soldier, Radioactive Man,
Yeah, and all of his green glory.
Fin Fang Foom,
Yeah,
the Scorpion,
yeah.
and who else? Some other
I'm thinking of number 2, where you just flat out begin with Electro 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Here's Electro. Oh, now you're going to fight a version of the Frightful Four, comprising of Wizard, Shocker, like others. Oh shit! Now you're fighting what's her face over on a thing above New York on a Latvian version of the helicarrier, where she's going to use the villains as a power source. So you've got to fight 4 bosses and then her. And this is just the opening half hour, 45 minutes. Like, it's just...
I'm going to tell you now, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
No. 12-ish hour campaign, about 3 hours of it are structured, catered missions that have clearly been designed, paced, and laid out for the purpose of telling the story of the campaign.
So
the rest of them are constantly regenerating custom built, semi-custom built assets turned into levels that you have to achieve very basic goals to complete.
So, what about that other mode? Does that save it?
I've played about 3 hours of online mode, and it is the regenerating missions, but more. No character, no development really. The hub is still boring. I've yet to play. I might give it a go tonight while I'm rendering later. But like, there's an option to play with other people online. I don't know how that's going to turn out.
Never do that. Never do that.
Based on the communities I've seen so far, it's mostly a glitchy mess. Because you can have up to 4 players at one time. You know, that classic Avengers number. 4 players. Yeah. And you can only play as one character. So like, if someone else picks Hulk, you can't pick Hulk. So you've got one of 6 characters to choose from at the moment. And I've seen people spawning as multiple versions of the same character and then the game freaking out. I heard about the loading glitch after you complete the story. If you want to go back into the campaign to finish the side missions that are in the campaign, it loads forever, infinite loading screen, and you have to restart the game in the hopes that it'll work. I've had that 4 times since completing the campaign. I've had characters not speak. But dialogue's coming out of them somehow. Phil Sheldon's in it, from Marvels.
Okay.
The wonderful fucking like pristine. If you're going to buy one Marvel graphic novel in your lifetime, maybe buy this one.
Yeah.
Graphic novel. He's in it. He's just a shitty, snarky, on the scene reporter for the Daily Bugle network. After an attack in New York, he was on the TV in the helicarrier talking about the attack on New York, yet he was clearly in the Utah setting from earlier reports. I came back at one point, and my objective, once I was on the helicarrier, was to go talk to Bruce, which would kickstart like the next part of the story. And I'm walking up to him as Kamala, and I can't talk to him. There's no option to interact with him. I'm like, what is going on? I'm looking around the ship, and I bump into Kamala whilst playing as Kamala. I do a quick Google. You need to be Nat to start the mission. Right, well, how do I change character? You can't just change character when you're playing the story mode.
Just change character?
Nope, the only option you have is before you go into a regenerating mission, you can select which of the then currently unlocked characters you can play as. But in the hub world, until you go into multiplayer, where there's a table where you can just select whoever you want to be from this table, this HUD, you can't change player. So I had to like completely close the game and then turn it back on, and then that didn't work. Read off from a checkpoint, and so that I would eventually be Nat. And Matt, it's so broken. It's so broken. Power sets, control schemes. Of the 6 characters currently released, Kamala plays really well. She's a brawler with ranged attack option because, of course, she can reach and stretch.
She can embiggen.
She can embiggen. One of her powers is giving a superpowered high five, which can knock out 3 or 4 opponents in one go. But not knock them out, because every robot is ridiculously difficult to kill. Every single one is really difficult to kill. She can grow massive with her superpower, which does actually look quite cool. And feels quite cool for a limited time. Natasha is the highlight. Tasha's control scheme is brilliant.
They may have made the game with her in mind and then worked everyone else out.
Possibly. She feels like if Arkham Batman and Insomniac Spider-Man were combined into a control set, like with lesser gadgets, but like she feels like that. She's quick, you can come up with decent combos, you have a grapple hook, which means that you can get the fuck back and then pull yourself toward an enemy and kick them in the face.
Okay.
Her ranged weapon is twin handguns, which can prove really useful when you've got a swarm of enemies that are crowding around you. Thor's control scheme is fine, some fun superpowers, but they take too long to load. Cap's control scheme is fine. He's a brawler, but he relies way too much on shield, like reactionary moves to power himself up.
Oh, it's all parry.
All parry based. Iron Man is like the Arkham Knight tank controls, but worse. Like he's an unsmooth version. He makes you appreciate the Arkham Knight tank controls more after playing as Iron Man. He's terrible.
Okay.
He's fucking terrible. But worst of all, they did our boy dirty. The Incredible Hulk is dog shit to play as. He's utterly shit. He's weightless. He doesn't have any sort of mass to him as a feeling of a character. His health bar can be taken down in seconds.
But he's the Hulk.
He deals out as much damage as Kamala or Cap.
But he's the Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the Hulk.
But he's the Hulk.
Yeah. 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 It also doesn't help that the majority of the voice cast are people you hear all the time in video games. It adds to the generic kind of you missed that opportunity feeling that the game gives off.
Let's look at this cast.
I mean, there's some great performances. Again, like Sandra Sard as Kamala Khan. She's a relative newbie. She's started to appear in a lot more video games now, but she's really good. Laura Bailey as Black Widow, as Natasha Romanoff, is really good. It's, it is a very distinct superhero performance, different from, say, the likes of like Catwoman and characters like that from which one was she in Telltale, wasn't it? She was Catwoman in the Telltale one.
Yes.
There's nice differences and nuances from her. The guy playing Thor's having fun. Nolan North makes for a fun Tony Stark, but his Tony Stark doesn't look like the voice that's coming out of it.
No.
And I don't hold that as Nolan North's fault, because Tony Stark in this, even after the 5-year time skip, looks young as fuck. He should look like he's in his 40s. It just doesn't quite work. Troy Baker is both charming and boring as Bruce Banner. Like, he plays Bruce Banner in a way I've not heard anyone play him before, which was refreshing. His social awkwardness is at the forefront of the character. In a way that isn't, it's endearing, it's not off-putting. But as a result, they give him all of the monologues, and eventually Bruce becomes the Dumbledore of this motherfucker. He's just spouting a truisms.
Sure. So they made the Hulk boring to play as, and they made Bruce Banner boring to listen to.
Yeah,
cool.
It's
cool.
M.O.D.O.K's fun, but his motivation is pretty unclear. Monica's fun, but her motivation is pretty unclear. Abomination's great for the brief time we see him. Not Russian though. I'll never understand why they never make him Russian. It pisses me off, but he's in it.
Because the Cold War's over, Chris.
His name's Emil Blonsky.
Also, anyway. They didn't want to get abducted by the Russian government. No, that only happens
Taskmaster's
to Russians.
Fine. Taskmaster's fine. AIM are so distinct looking in the comic books. Like they're they're basically evil mad scientist, the organization, and their scientists and soldiers alike are all trained the same way and all wear bright yellow jumpsuits with upside down bucket helmets with little visors in them. They're like,
Yeah, they look like
they're
beekeepers.
they look like the Monsters Inc. hazmat team.
Yeah,
like they're
evil
really
beekeepers.
distinct looking. There are 2 AIM soldiers out of the 20 plus drone antagonist brawl or whatever villains you can fight in this. There's 2 that have that design scheme, and it's a dulled yellow, and they're covered in that much military gear that you can barely see it. And I'm like, that's interesting because
I'm sorry.
you've taken the source.
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that AIM are not beekeepers in this?
No, there's 2 beekeepers.
All right, I'm leaving the call right now.
Oh god, he's taking his headphones off. Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's getting his willy out. Oh, he's pissing on the mixer. Oh, good God. Oh, Matthew, you can't... Look, oi, put your headphones on. Put your headphones on. You can't piss on the mixer just because it annoyed you. That's ridiculous. You've got to clean that off now.
I hate everything. Where are my beekeepers?
But that piss was more yellow than the uniforms you'll see in this. The robots are bland and uninteresting. You can get attacked from all sides and get a split-second visual warning on the screen. You can be killed and not know what killed you because it was something off-screen.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, okay. That seems like it's not broken at all.
Hulk's power set is mostly reliant on dodging and blocking. Hulk's power set and your succession to increase your willpower / rage meter in which to inflict your special moves relies on you dodging and counterpointing, just not even counterattacking,
I'm sorry,
roaring
I'm
at
just
a moment
finding
to
this
offset the
really
villain.
upsetting.
It's shit.
You're making me
it's
sad.
Really bad.
I'm sad.
And the thing is, it's developing a Zack Snyder BVS-esque culture already online. There are people who are going, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's definitely got flaws, and oh god, no, I hate it, or god, it was terrible, this really shit on any expectation I had, oh my god, I'm disappointed to find out the vibe I was getting from the trailer actually carried into the game and they didn't surprise us, this is upsetting. And then you got the people going, shut up, it's fucking brilliant, you wouldn't know a good video game if it fucked you in the ass.
I think that would probably be the mark of a quality video game, to be fair.
Yeah, if it felt like it'd take me on a night on the town.
Yeah, but, it looks after you.
It's not Avengers' fault, really, this game's fault. It's not this game's fault that I've played good video games before, because it obviously didn't anticipate that.
I was listening to Waypoint Radio, the podcast from Vice's gaming vertical.
Yes.
And, Austin Walker was talking on that about how playing the beta for Avengers kind of made him less excited for other video games because it was so nakedly a mechanical loop that it's so stripped away of despite its branded dressing, it was so blatantly a mechanical loop of do generic mission to get things to do more generic missions with of a higher level.
Oh yeah, these superpowered high-tech superheroes spend the missions getting loot. Yeah. You stop mid-boss fight to press the middle button to filter through the things you found so you can make room for them and add them to your player thing. And they only increase your strength a little bit. There's a little bit here.
Playing Marvel's The Avengers made him less, significantly less excited for Gotham Knights.
Yeah, I can vibe that.
Of the fear that that's just going to be the same thing.
Well, it seems like my fear now is that studios seem to take the wrong lessons away from something. The reason why this game started touting itself as Marvel's Avengers since last summer, the reason why they're putting a big emphasis on heroes, it's gonna be amazing. The reason why I don't
think the Marvel's Avengers thing is Square Enix. That'll be a Marvel branding requirement.
Oh, true.
That's not a choice that they've made. That's just what they have to do.
No, I agree, but the fact that if you put this on a shelf, see that spine, if you put that on a shelf next to Insomniac Spider-Man, it looks like they're part of the same series.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I know what you mean.
That's
It's
Marvel
branding thing overall. Saying you using our licensing, you have to have this as part of the logo. That's
But
not
the fact that-
a square
no,
Enix
no, no,
thing.
I know. But the fact that this copy came with a sticker on the front that took ages to peel off, so it's obviously been on there for months. Talking about Spider-Man coming to PS4.
Oh
This
yeah.
game. I get the feeling that they're like, people loved that game. We really need to overplay the fact that this is a story, because what people loved about that game was the fact that it was a complete one single player narrative, and it was a big emotional. I mean, the finale of this, when you're fighting the Kree Sentry, it's Kamala spouting what she's learned. Really well delivered, but like spouting what she's learned over a QTE event where she beats the shit out of the villain once and for all on a rainy night by the side of giant skyscrapers. It's like, that's the
familiar.
last 5 minutes of Spidey PS4.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Would you say that this is a game that ends where it should have started?
What? At the pitch meeting?
No, in terms of like the storyline, the campaign sort of wraps up where it should be starting.
Yeah, I would much rather the story be the Avengers are coming to the aid of some Inhumans who are being hunted down by a shady organization.
Well, it's not even that. It just sounds
and they're
like
let's take you on board, Kamala. We need to protect you. She learns about them. We learn about them a little bit more. This, that, and the other. And by the end of it, she's earned a place alongside him because she's helped them crack the case. Like that to me would be more fun than the getting the band back together narrative that the game delivers.
It just seems like what you're describing is Act 1 of the game.
Yeah.
And that
it's and the thing I still went ahead with my pre-order because I wanted to play the story. I wanted to be proven wrong. I didn't put my hopes in the clouds, which is why I'm so mad, because I didn't think I could think any less of it than I was expecting to. I'm so shocked by how much they fucked this up. And that's not even to start on, the looter economy, the fact that in the game, and I've put a few examples of these on my Twitch as clips, characters at the stores for power-ups, unit tweakers, and cosmetics, which cost a lot, and you have to grind a lot to be able to afford them in game.
Of course you do.
Like an insane amount. These characters guilt trip you into spending. There's a robot called Roy in the Anthill, a secret base of Hank Pym's in the middle of the desert where a bunch of Inhumans are hiding out.
Nah.
Because Hank Pym's in this, dressed as Star-Lord for some reason. Like it's like they've gone, what does Hank Pym look like? With that thing Chris Pratt was wearing, just put him in that. Like it's the same costume. It's really weird, and it's Hank Pym.
Boo.
So strange. But there's a robot called Roy who's got no legs because the legs weren't a necessity when he was being built, because he works in the store to help you craft gear. And you go up to him, you talk to him, and Kamala's like, "Oh, this is really cool," because it's the first robot she's ever spoken to that hasn't tried to kill her, and it's a cute little moment between her and this character. You within a moment of them talking, you're like, "Oh, she's got a kind of cute rapport going on with this robot drone who's here to make her stuff." And then she's like, "Oh, that must be really cool." And it's like, I have no concept of whether or not something is positive or negative. I have no emotional receptors. She's like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of sad." He's like, "No, I do experience some joy recesses. I experience joy when you purchase wares from my stall." She's like, "Oh, so buying makes you happy?" And he goes, "Indeed." She's like, "Right." It's like, so the game's telling you buy to make the lovely robot happy. There was one other vendor, a scientist at the Anthill, who I spoke to her, realised I didn't really need any of the shit she was peddling to me because, like, what was the point? And I walked away, and as I walked away, she went, "Oh, okay, bye." So, come back here, what's wrong with you? Kind of mentality.
I don't like this.
And these things are things that you can either buy through stuff you grind for days on end to get and spend, or through units of currency that you can purchase from the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Marketplace. These interactions, might I remind you, were in the campaign, not the multiplayer.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
Textures pop frequently, especially in the cutscenes, which I realised aren't cutscenes, they're cameras in-game.
I don't like this.
No cutscene bar 2 was a pre-rendered cutscene. So they all looked good, because the game, like the surfaces of it all, like when they're working, and when they're not lagging dreadfully, which happens a lot during fights, all the surfaces and textures and lighting looks real good. But when the textures on Monica Rappaccini's Smock keep going to low res during cutscenes, when you're having an emotional wrap-up at the end where they're all thanking Kamala for what she did to save the day, and the war table behind you's logo is shining through Tony Stark because you're not in a pre-rendered cutscene, it's pretty irritating, Matt. It's just...
It sounds irritating.
I go into depth on this simply because if anyone's listening to this and is undecided on whether or not to pick up Square Enix's Marvel's Crystal Dynamics' Avengers 2020, if you're undecided, let me decide for you. Avoid it like the fucking plague. It's awful. I have had more enjoyment in the last day playing the multiplayer the way I do, say, dropping into games of COD or Overwatch or Fortnite, where I'm watching a documentary or listening to a podcast on one screen, and I'm just farting around playing this, like, capture the flag stuff on the other screen. That's the only enjoyment I've got out of it, meaning I already play games where I get the same kick from what I'm getting from this. In future episodes, if people are curious, I'll let them know what the upcoming characters are like, because I will give them a sample as they come out for the maps.
Yeah.
Would you Kate Bishop at the end of this month? Would you Clint Barton next month? Which is weird for your first 2 months to be two versions of the same superhero.
Yeah.
T'Challa has been confirmed, and Spidey's out next year.
It.
Yeah. I wish I'd saved the $49.99 toward an inevitable like third or sixth or seventh of the savings toward a PS5 instead. Miles Morales cannot get here quick enough. Avoid it. And as a result, I'm going back on my Twitch channel this weekend for story plays. I'm going back to Injustice 2 because I'm like, this is just a beat 'em up, and it has a 20 times more satisfying campaign with beautiful animation, scary photorealistic expressions, and
the animation in that
facial designs
in that game is so good.
It's gorgeous. So I'm going back to that, even though again, I've gone back to Injustice 2 ever since because it just regenerates multiverse tournaments for you to play and this and the other. But the character interactions in this beat 'em up are way more satisfying than Iron Man quipping the same 4 lines again and again in another desert where you're fighting more robots for a box with a fucking trinket in it. Avoid it like the plague. Do you know what else you should avoid, Matt? Checking your inbox.
No, I'm checking my inbox right now. Too late.
Damn it.
We should avoid ever talking about
Square Enix's Marvel's Crystal Dynamics' Avengers'
The Avengers, starring Spider-Man.
The Avengers.
Only on PS4.
In conclusion, Your Honour, someone give Sandra Sard's version of Kamala Khan a spin-off animated series or something so that the character and her work does not disappear, because she's great.
So...
a needle-pulling thread.
We've got an email from our weekly Doctor Who correspondent, Sam.
I refuse.
He did promise Batman 66 this week.
He did.
But he's not delivered.
Deception.
To use their own words.
Disgrace.
So
evil has playing us the scar. Oh, I'm so sorry, go on.
So it's not Batman because War Games, baby. Episodes 1 to 5, anyway. Episode 1. These are very, very quick fire. They're not even reviews of the episodes. They're just sort of things that happen in the episodes. Episode 1, Trench Warfare. Episode 2, Escape and Jamie. Episode 3, Tests of Morale. Episode 4, Escape and Recapture. Episode 5, Pat, I don't want you to go. So long live the king. Goodbye from Sam. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks especially for the gif of Pat and Wendy Padbury trying on the glasses. The
yes! Weird. Oh, I can picture it as well.
The weird glasses, the weird warlord's glasses. Then we got another message from Dan the Kneecap Man saying
Dan the Kneecap Man with his magic knees and his magic van.
And this one's titled Underdog Games and Other Underdoggos.
Underdoggos.
Hello again, boys.
Hello.
It is I, Dan the Kneecap Man once more. Whilst not fully able to embrace my kneecap powers due to the ravages of apparent rather hard 22 years of this planet, I have been able to embrace other people's powers via a video game. The first issue may gather from my use of the slogan is Marvel's Avengers, a game I've been very back and forth on. Currently I have played the beta, which whilst flawed I enjoyed, and I'm now very much enjoying the actual game. I was sorry to hear you didn't get the same enjoyment, Chris. How is the full game treating you? Well, I think we've covered that in depth. The main issues I have are the lack of local co-op and the sheer hassle for cosmetics.
Also, the costumes are shit. There's like 2 or 3 distinct ones that are actually based on something, and then the rest are like Marvel v Capcom style. Like you see that one of the Hulk in it? Yeah, the Hulk in his torn shirt. Now the shirt's a different colour. New costume. Like, no. Well, no, it's not.
Dan goes on to say that I need Mr. Fixing and the illustrious armour. Damn it.
The Joe Fix-It costume's fine. It's just a shame they do it 6 times with a different tie, basically.
The second is another look down on game, which I am, so far, also enjoying. Arkham Knight. Chases with the Batmobile can be thrilling even if uncharacteristically lethal, no matter what electric effect they try to use, and it looks gorgeous. However, I'm finding the Batmobile a little too rammed down my throat now, and I hate the bloody irritating Riddler racetracks. Which brings me to the rounding off question. What games, or indeed films, shows, Doctor Who stories, etc., that I look down on, are you two particularly fond of? David Lynch's Dune. Thanks for the constant quality content as always. Apologies for the beefy email. Not beefy, don't worry about it. I shall email again soon. Yeah, I also love beef. We shall email again soon with my thoughts on my socially conscious and carefully precautioned trips to see Tenet, did you know it was delayed? And new mutants. Farewell, my dears. I've been talking about maybe, I was speaking about maybe going back to the cinema. Possibly there is one near us which is all single seat recliners, and I might feel comfortable enough with the spacing in a place like that to go back. But it's something that we're toying with the idea of.
Take a straw,
and
keep your mask on.
Yeah,
loose but keep it on. You know.
Here's the thing. So I started my new job recently. I'm working in a warehouse lugging things for 10 hours. I am knackered. I'm exhausted. I'm breathless. Sweating like a pig. I keep my fucking mask on. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to wear it over your fucking nose. So any of you out there who are not wearing your mask properly, got no excuses. You're just a cunt. I would imagine that doesn't really cover any of our audience because I don't think any of you are cunts, but don't prove me wrong.
I saw a great tweet this week. I can't remember who retweeted it now, but it was basically along the lines of, look, we might be proven wrong. 5 years down the line, they might reveal that the masks did fuck all. But if they are doing something for us, if they are protecting people, don't you think it's worth still wearing them? Yeah. Of course it is. Try and argue out of that. And the thing is, there will be people who'll still try and argue out of that. They're wrong. But I would rather take the "this might save people" method than not and find out later that it could have. Like, what the fuck?
There's always a cunt, Chris, somewhere. So underdog things that I have a lot of underdog movies. Things that people don't like so much that I really, really love, like Batman Returns. And other bits and pieces, but nothing.
You are wrong on that one.
That's fine. I honestly can't think of, because there's the things that I like that people don't. I'm very conscious that they're not good. Like you know me. I love the 80s Transformers cartoon. I'm under no illusions that it's good. Like, it's bad. It's painfully bad in places, most places actually.
Not to be confused with the 80s Transformers movie, which is pretty legit.
I mean, it's also bad in terms of like, this is a bad film, but it's
an excellent toy commercial.
It's bad in that 80s bad, as in like when bad meant good. But like I'm under no illusions that these things are good. I just really, really like them. Like I know they're bad. Like I think that's what people get so hung up on, quality and their opinion being the same thing. That's just why people get defensive about things that they love.
Yeah,
you can like something that is not good.
You can subjectively enjoy something that is objectively garbage.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Like it's completely fine to do so.
Like
as
Batman
long as it
very
isn't hurting
Superman.
anyone, go for it. I mean, I know what mine is off the bat. Like that, I adore it. I don't think other people should, but I still love it. And that's the 2003 movie Daredevil. It's garbage.
I can understand that though.
The director's cut is much better, but still like at most a 3-star time at the movies.
Especially if it comes out in like a particularly, like there's always going to be things that come out at a certain time in your life that you're gonna have a soft spot for.
Yeah.
And I think what 2003, that was probably right in the sweet spot for you.
Oh, I was 12. I just started collecting the UK reprints, Mighty World of Marvel, so I was reading a lot of Daredevil at that point.
Yeah, fair.
I like nu metal and the bands that were coming out around that time were my absolute fucking jam, and that soundtrack is full of them.
Yeah, as are the first 2 Spider-Man movie soundtracks.
Yeah, there's a bit more moody though.
It's a bit more of a range, but there's some fucking bangers on those.
I still stand by this soundtrack as an absolute fucking bop. Let me.
Here we go.
Hang on. Daredevil soundtrack. Where are you, my boy? Here we go. So, this is the band list on Daredevil, the 2003... Daredevil, the album.
Oh, yeah, when it was... They didn't do the score, they did the album. Maybe 3 of the songs were in the film. Maybe over the credits, if you were lucky.
Fuel, with Won't Back Down, which is great. The Calling. Saliva. Seether. Nickelback.
Nickelback were everywhere.
I loved them at that point. Let's be fair, though.
I mean, they'd probably qualify as an underdog band for some people. Like I know some people who really, really like unironically like Nickelback, and I'm just like, it's not like I hate them. It's just that they're so middle of the road mediocre.
You're meant to outgrow them. Them eventually.
They're so middle of the road, but because they were successful for a little bit and had a couple of like successful tunes, people think this is the pinnacle of rock music, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's very middle of the road, really boilerplate stuff.
Shoot, what else? So Drowning Pool feat Rob Zombie.
Whoa.
Nappy Roots feat Marcus Curiel from POD.
Whoa.
Moby.
Moby.
Two Evanescence tracks.
Michael Stipe. Moby.
Two Evanescence tracks, their first singles, Bring Me to Life and My Immortal. Bring Me to Life on this album credited as Evanescence feat Paul McCoy of 12 Stones. Everywhere else it was just Evanescence.
He does the rap bits.
Yeah, everywhere else that song's always just credited as Evanescence. So at least he got his credit publicly, properly on the Daredevil the album.
Yes.
Chevelle, Hoobastank.
Hoobastank.
Palo Alto, Revis, Body Sets Fire, Autopilot Off, Graham Revel, and Mike Inzyga. That's a bit of score, that, actually. Finger 11, Endo, and then 12 Stones. If you put this album on, it takes you back to the early 2000s of... I can smell this music. I can smell this. This music feels like it would have a sticky floor. Missing though, significantly missing track on the album is arguably the best fucking track in the movie, which is Lap Dance by Nerd, which kicks in on the reveal of Kingpin. That first shot of Michael Clark Duncan stood in that window, it pans up the skyscraper, and he's just there with a massive fucking Cuban cigar.
Well, that's the thing.
Diamond-studded cane. You know, like that do. It's like, oh, yes, here we go.
The thing is, though...
It's not on the soundtrack.
The songs on the album of the film
Yeah.
have to not actually be in the film.
Bar the single, pretty much. It's like the single's got to be on there, and then everything else is fair game, Sonny Jim.
Unless it's something like Scott Pilgrim, which is half the songs on that album are songs that were written for the film.
Yeah. Well, we are Sex Bomb.
All of them feature in the film quite heavily, so listening to the album is like watching the film again in snippets. Because because music is used so brilliantly in that film that you listen to the album and go, oh, it's that bit. Oh, it's this bit.
Do you remember when soundtracks, as a rule, had vocal clips from the film between songs?
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the last time that happened.
I don't know if they all did that. I think the only one of those that really stands out is Pulp Fiction. I can't think of any others off the top of my head that did that.
Kick-Ass has got it, which is weird when I go into my shuffle, and suddenly you just hear, what is it? How will I get a hold of you? We have a light. There's a phone at the mayor's office. There's a light we shine in the sky. It's in the shape of a giant cock. Like, just before a track begins, you're like, what? The fuck was that? The fuck was that?
I honestly, it's not.
Sorry, grandmother.
It's not a trend that I miss.
Sorry, mother. Yeah, fair. I mean, you're wrong, but fair.
Well, you're wrong.
That's true.
And you're also done for the week.
Just
like this show.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, folks. This has been The Big Damn Cast, episode 220.
Jesus, I know.
220.
In 200 more episodes, we can finally record the Big Dank Cast. 200 episodes to go, where we will get incredibly intoxicated on marijuana and then like, end the show.
That's 4 years away.
Is it?
Bit over 4 years, yeah.
It's over 4 years. Yeah. All right, okay. But we'll do it. So, if you want us to get to that point, guys, you have to fuel the habit by supporting the show. Any way you can in these dark times, very much appreciated. Yeah. We've got storage space to cover, and we'd like a budget to spend when we're able to film together as well in the near future, fingers really crossed. So, patreon.com/bigdamcast if you can throw a few shekels our way. As a reward, you'll get access to that content as it releases before the rest of the world. And you can also join the Discord where we spread news and talk shit during the week. Is there a news story we didn't cover that you'd like us to? We're probably talking about it on there. Not only that, you can watch live streams throughout the week on twitch.tv/bigdamstream. Matthew is usually on Monday and Friday night, but you know, let's see how his thighs and his calves do this week.
Oh no, I'll be there Monday and Friday, don't worry.
With me popping on occasionally playing random shit. Do you want me to tackle Avengers on stream, play some online multiplayer so you can watch me scream and cry? I'll happily do it for you lot.
I want you to physically tackle the box of the game on stream.
I'll punch it now. There we go. Worth it. In fact, I'll take the box. Here we go. Take the box for Injustice and use that to punch the Avengers. There we go. Fantastic.
Very good.
Well deserved. Thanks, evil Superman. You can also follow us on Twitter at BigDamnCast. You can see all of our wares on YouTube at the Big Damn channel. And there's probably one I'm missing. Oh, that's it, the email. BigDamnContact@gmail.com. Send things to us, you swines. It'd be nice to talk. But until then, I'll leave you with these wise words from a man who is definitely not remotely exhausted and definitely hasn't been working a really hard day since stupid o'clock this morning. Go, Matt!
But listen, these things are 16.5 inches long. Why can't you go on the incident show?
And on that note,
What is this?
Goodbye.